Dan Lanning had probably the tweet of the day, with a second tweet of the day being Matt Rule. We'll talk about that in a little bit later in the show. But Dan Lanning got the cigar, got the music playing. Today was a good day, and they cleaned house, man. I told you on the show, I was in the drive-thru line at Chick-fil-A, and Oregon was at the number 14 spot that morning. Austin Novosad pulls out the spatula, goes full flip mode. He's going to the Ducks. Matayo Uiagalelei, he's going to the Ducks. Peyton Bowen, at the time of us being live, had decided he was flipping to the Ducks. We'll see if that holds. But even without Peyton Bowen, outside of that conversation, Oregon still had a great day yesterday. No,
yeah.
He finished in the top 10.
Yeah, they inked Jurion Dickey, their number one highest ranked commit in the class. There was some concern, not over him maybe flipping, but just maybe delaying his signing.
Okay.
And it was big news that they were able to ink him. It's done. Jurion Dickey is part of the class. Love what they did in the trenches. I think if you look at the top 5, maybe even 7 to where Oregon is, to me, what separates all those schools is what they did with the big athletic bodies. That is where the beef is. You look at what Alabama did. You look at what Georgia did. You look at what Oregon was able to do. Landing Matayo Uiagalelei at the last minute. We were sitting here a week before signing day saying he's trending heavily to Ohio State, which makes sense, JD, right? They perennially land the best pass rushers in the country. Then we heard, oh, it's a surprise. You know, he's trending to USC. Okay, that's the in-state school. They're coming hard. Lincoln Riley's doing a great job at USC. They need some fireworks down the stretch. And then on signing day, the whispers start. Matayo Uiagalelei, maybe it's not USC. Maybe it's not Ohio State. It's Oregon. They end up signing him. I mean, they were in it, but they were not considered a primary threat even maybe a week before. So they really load up in the trenches. Johnny Bowens out of Texas, love what he brings. I think even though they're at 7, they are built like a top 5 commit list. I really love what Oregon put together.
And why do you say that? Because of what they got at premier positions and potential impact, or what in your mind makes them look like a top 5 class?
Anybody can go out and grab great skill players, and there's nothing wrong with great skill players. Everybody needs them. But I think the difference for Oregon is what they're doing in the trenches, and they still have one big target left on the board, and that's the number 1 defensive lineman in America, David Hicks, who's committed to the Texas A&M Aggies, but he's considering flips to the O's. The O's are Oklahoma and Oregon. Maybe he remains committed. We're going to find out on Friday when the number 1 defensive lineman in America makes his decision. But if you could pair him with Johnny Bowens and Matayo Uiagalelei, and now you get David Hicks, you really are starting to build an SEC-type program.
It really feels that way. With Dan Lanning coming from the Kirby Smart coaching tree and how they did things at Georgia and just kind of that edge that they have on the recruiting trail, it feels a whole lot like with Oregon having their NIL ducks in a row, no pun intended. They're now really starting to be, a force in the recruiting trail. And their branding is so powerful. Their NIL resources are so powerful to where going forward, if Dan Lanning, with the way he is just so tenacious on the recruiting trail, if they keep hitting it the way they are, I don't see a reason why they can't build an SEC-like program on the West Coast, just like you said, Josh. Yeah. So as Dan Lanning says, they're building a program. I don't know why they put the U on there. I feel like maybe they copied us. Maybe we copied them. I don't know, but I'm here for it. Dan Lanning, one of us here on this channel. And no, Oregon absolutely took over yesterday. I want to get your thoughts with this before we get you out of here. How big was it to get Austin Novosad after losing Dante Moore? They have one guy flipped away from them. They flip one towards them at the quarterback spot.
I started laughing when I saw the flip. And the reason I started laughing is because it looked like they got blindsided by the Dante Moore flip to UCLA. I mean, who saw that coming? Especially to a program, no slight on UCLA, but it doesn't have the hype. It doesn't have the winning that Oregon does recently. So when he flipped, it looks like, oh, did they get caught flat-footed? Like you said, no, they got caught web-footed. They had a plan. For something like Austin Novosad to flip from Baylor on the morning of National Signing Day, that's not a situation where they just called Austin up and said, hey, buddy, we're in a spot where we didn't expect us to be. Dante Moore just went to UCLA. Would you like to come to Oregon? No, that's not how it worked. They had been working Austin Novosad behind the scenes for quite some time, keeping him warm. Maybe not saying, hey, we want to flip you right now, but they did enough to keep that relationship strong to where they didn't have to cold call him on the morning of National Signing Day and introduce themselves and beg for a flip. It was already done. So very impressive work behind the scenes by Oregon on getting their recruiting board in order. And being prepared for anything that could possibly happen.
I mean, that just shows what you have on staff, correct? To be that prepared on National Signing Day to where, hey, things didn't go how we wanted with Dante Moore, but we still don't come away empty-handed with this class, getting our quarterback for the future. Out of Dripping Springs, Texas, one of probably the coolest hometown names of this entire class, I would imagine.
And I was laughing because I was like, oh, Oregon has a plan. When I saw Austin Novosad flipping, this was something that had been in the works. It wasn't something that just spur of the moment. So I just got a good chuckle out of everybody doubting that the Ducks had a plan. Of course they had a plan.
And the Austin Novosad flip was just the tip of the iceberg, as it turned out throughout the madness of National Signing Day, but absolutely took care of business, did the Ducks, with the skyrocket show they put on during National Signing Day, going up those rankings from 14, got as high as 6, I believe. You said they're in the 7th spot right now, Josh?
7.
Okay, so that's, hey, a top 10 finish. It's a pretty powerful spot to be at within the Pac-12.
And they're Hicks still on the board.
Not done yet, baby. Well, Josh, appreciate you, man. Congratulations on having an absolutely unreal signing day yourself. Like you said, Oregon a big winner. You're a big winner as well. I hope you are able to get some sleep and enjoy some of the holiday madness going on right now as well.
All right, I will. You too, JD.
Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.